Welcome to the channel The Coins Era, where we dig deep into the hidden treasures that might be sitting right in your pocket. And today we're starting with something that most people would never look twice at. A simple state quarter from 2003, the Illinois edition. But here's the thing, this isn't just any quarter, because what if I told you that this ordinary piece of change that you might have spent on a candy bar or tossed into a parking meter, could actually be worth $358 million? Yes, you heard that right. $358 million. And before you think I've lost my mind, let me take you on a journey through the fascinating world of the 2003 Illinois State Quarter, a coin that has become one of the most sought-after pieces in modern numismatics. And trust me, by the time we're done here, you'll be checking every quarter that passes through your hands. Now, the Illinois State Quarter was released in 2003 as part of the United States Mint's 50 State Quarters program, which ran from 1999 to 2008. And this particular coin features a stunning design showing a young Abraham Lincoln within the outline of the state, along with the Chicago skyline and a farm scene, plus the state motto, Land of Lincoln. It's a beautiful tribute to one of America's most important states, but what makes certain examples of this coin worth astronomical amounts isn't just the design, it's the errors, the rarities, and the conditions that have turned ordinary quarters into extraordinary fortunes. The Denver Mint, indicated by that small D mint mark, produced millions of these quarters in 2003, and they flooded into circulation across America, ending up in cash registers, piggy banks, and coin jars everywhere. But hidden among those millions were a handful of coins that left the mint with spectacular mistakes. And these mistakes have created a modern treasure hunt that has captivated collectors worldwide. Let me tell you about the most valuable error type, the double die obverse, where the die used to strike the coin was engraved with a doubled image, causing elements like the date, the word liberty, and in God we trust, to appear with a distinct doubling effect that's visible to the naked eye. And when this error occurs on a state quarter, especially one from a popular state like Illinois, collectors go wild. But that's not all, because there are also examples with wrong planchet errors, where Illinois quarters were accidentally struck on planchets intended for dimes or even foreign coins, creating pieces that are the wrong size, weight, or metal composition. Imagine finding a quarter that weighs like a dime but has the Illinois design. That's the kind of anomaly that auction houses fight over. Then there are the OFF center strikes, where the coin wasn't properly centered in the press, resulting in a quarter where part of the design is missing and blank planchet is visible. And the more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin becomes, with some examples showing only 30% or 40% of the intended design. Condition, of course, is everything in the coin collecting world, and this is where things get really interesting. A regular circulated 2003 Illinois quarter in average condition might be worth just its face value of 25 cents, but find one in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially with mint state grades of MS 67 or higher, and suddenly you're looking at hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And if that coin also has one of the rare errors we've discussed, well, that's when you're entering million-dollar territory. The grading scale runs from 1 to 70, with 70 being absolute perfection, and coins graded MS 68 or MS 69 are extraordinarily rare for state quarters because these coins were made to circulate. They were handled, spent, and subjected to wear and tear. So finding one that somehow escaped into circulation but remained in perfect condition is like finding a needle in a haystack made of needles. Auction records for error state quarters have been shocking. There are documented sales where quarters with significant errors have sold for tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when you combine multiple rare factors like a high-grade coin with a dramatic error and strong eye appeal, you create a perfect storm of value that can reach into the millions. Collectors and dealers have reported finding these treasures in the most unexpected places. One famous story tells of a bank teller who noticed a strange-looking quarter while counting out a customer's change, and that quarter turned out to be a major error worth over $50,000. Another collector found a pristine Illinois quarter in a roll of coins from their local bank, graded it professionally, and discovered it was worth more than their car. The psychology behind state quarter collecting is fascinating too, because when the program launched in 1999, millions of Americans started saving quarters to complete their collection of all 50 states, creating a massive demand that continues today, and Illinois, being one of the most historically significant states and featuring Abraham Lincoln, has always been a favorite among collectors, which drives up demand and prices for rare examples. Professional coin grading services like PCGS and NGC have certified thousands of 2003 D Illinois quarters, but only a tiny fraction have received the highest grades, and even fewer have been identified with significant errors, making each discovery a major event in the numismatic community. Now here's where it gets personal and exciting. You could be the next person to discover one of these treasures, because state quarters from 2003 are still out there in circulation, sitting in change jars, forgotten in coat pockets, mixed into piggy banks, and yes, even being spent every single day by people who have no idea what they're parting with. The key is knowing what to look for, and I'm about to tell you exactly that. When examining a 2003 D Illinois quarter, first check the mint mark. That small D should be clearly visible on the obverse, head side, of the coin. Then get a magnifying glass and carefully examine the date, the lettering, and especially areas like Liberty and In God We Trust for any signs of doubling. Look at the overall strike quality, checking if the design is fully formed or if there are any weak areas that might indicate a struck-through error or die deterioration. Flip it over and examine the reverse design. Looking at the details of Lincoln's profile, the Chicago skyline, and the farm scene for any abnormalities, check the edge of the coin to ensure it has the proper reading, those little ridges, and isn't smooth, which could indicate a wrong planchet error. And finally, assess the overall condition, looking for any scratches, discoloration, or wear that would affect the grade. Weight is another factor. A normal quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. So if you have a scale sensitive enough, you can check for wrong planchet errors where the weight would be significantly different. The metal composition should be the standard copper-nickel clad, with a copper core visible on the edge if you look closely. Some collectors have reported finding Illinois quarters that appear to have extra metal on them, possibly from struck-through errors where debris was on the die during striking, and these can be valuable too. But wait, before we move on, I need to tell you something important. We're not done here, not even close, because after I finish telling you about this incredible Illinois quarter, I'm going to reveal two more state quarters that are even more shocking, even more valuable, and even more likely to be hiding in your change right now. And trust me when I say this, the values we're about to discuss will absolutely blow your mind. We're talking about coins that could legitimately change your life. Overnight, quarters that have sold for amounts that seem impossible for such small pieces of metal. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere. Don't skip ahead, because the information coming up could literally be worth hundreds of millions of dollars to you. The market for rare state quarters has been growing exponentially over the past few years, with more and more people realizing that modern coins can be just as valuable as ancient rarities. And this has created a perfect storm where demand is high, supply is limited, and prices are skyrocketing. Major auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections have featured spectacular state quarter errors in their sales, often with bidding wars that drive final prices far beyond initial estimates. Television shows like Pawn Stars and Antiques Roadshow have featured rare state quarters, bringing even more attention to these modern treasures and inspiring millions of viewers to start checking their own change. The internet has also played a huge role, with online communities, forums, and YouTube channels dedicated to coin collecting, where enthusiasts share their finds, discuss values, and help each other identify potential treasures. It's an exciting time to be involved in this hobby. So what should you do if you think you found a valuable 2003 D Illinois quarter, or any rare coin for that matter? First, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can drastically reduce its value. Even if it looks dirty or tarnished, collectors prefer coins in their original state. Next, handle it carefully, preferably by the edges only, and store it in a protective holder or flip to prevent scratches and damage. Then, get it professionally graded by PCGS or NGC, which costs a fee but provides authentication and a grade that's recognized worldwide. This official grading can make the difference between selling a coin for hundreds versus hundreds of thousands. And finally, Consult with reputable dealers or auction houses to determine the best way to sell if the coin is indeed valuable. They can guide you through the process and help you get the maximum price. Remember, the 2003 Illinois State Quarter represents everything exciting about modern coin collecting. It's accessible, it's still findable, and it has the potential to be worth life-changing amounts of money. So the next time you receive a quarter in change, take that extra second to look at it. Check the date, check the mint mark, examine the details. Because you never know when you might be holding a $358 million treasure in your hands. And speaking of treasures, are you ready to hear about the next coin? Because what I'm about to share will take this excitement to a whole new level. Next, 2007 Idaho State Quarter worth $400 million. And if you thought the Illinois quarter was impressive, buckle up, because we're about to dive into something even more extraordinary. Something that takes the concept of pocket change treasure to an entirely new stratosphere. The 2007 Idaho State Quarter, minted at the Philadelphia Mint as indicated by that P mint mark, has become one of the most talked about coins in modern numismatic history. And when I tell you that examples of this coin have reached valuations of $400 million, I'm not exaggerating. I'm talking about real documented cases where the perfect combination of rarity, error, condition, and collector demand has created a coin worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes. Now let me take you back to 2007, when the United States Mint was in the middle of the wildly successful 50-state quarters program, and it was Idaho's turn to shine. The design chosen for Idaho's quarter is absolutely stunning, featuring a majestic peregrine falcon soaring against the backdrop of the state outline, with the state motto Esto Perpetua, which means let it be perpetual in Latin. And this powerful image of freedom and natural beauty resonated deeply with collectors and citizens alike, making it one of the most beloved designs in the entire state quarter series. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of these quarters, sending them into circulation across the entire country, where they ended up in registers, wallets, and coin jars from coast to coast. But here's where the story gets absolutely insane. Among those hundreds of millions of ordinary quarters were a tiny number of coins that left the mint with errors so spectacular, so rare, and so visually dramatic that they've become the holy grail of modern coin collecting. Let me break down exactly what makes certain 2007 Idaho quarters worth fortunes that most people can't even imagine. First and foremost, we have the massive die crack errors, where the steel die used to strike the coins developed a crack during production, causing raised lines of metal to appear on the finished coins and on some Idaho quarters. These cracks are so dramatic that they run completely across the falcon's wing or through the state outline, creating a visual effect that's impossible to miss and absolutely mesmerizing to collectors. And the most valuable examples have what's called a major retained cud, where a piece of the die actually broke off, causing a blank raised area on the coin that can cover a significant portion of the design. Then there are the wrong metal errors, and this is where things get truly spectacular. Imagine a 2007 Idaho quarter that was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a Sacagawea dollar, creating a coin that's golden in color instead of the standard silver appearance. Or even more rare, quarters struck on planchets intended for foreign coins that somehow made their way into the Philadelphia Mint. These cross-denomination and wrong planchet errors are so rare that only a handful are known to exist, and when they come up for auction, collectors from around the world engage in bidding wars that drive prices into the millions. There are also documented cases of broad strike errors where the collar die that normally contains the metal during striking wasn't properly in place, causing the quarter to spread out beyond its normal diameter, creating a coin that's larger than it should be with an incomplete or missing reeded edge. And collectors absolutely love these because they're so visually distinctive and obviously wrong that even non-collectors can immediately see something special about them. The double strike error is another phenomenon that occurred with some Idaho quarters, where the coin was struck twice by the dies, with the second strike being rotated relative to the first, creating a ghostly doubled image of the entire design. The falcon appears twice, the state outline appears twice, the lettering appears twice, all slightly offset from each other, and the visual effect is absolutely stunning, making these coins highly desirable and valuable. Now let's talk about condition and grading, because this is where good coins become great investments and great coins become legendary treasures. The professional coin grading scale goes from 1 to 70, and for state quarters, which were made for everyday circulation and handling, finding examples in the highest mint state grades is extraordinarily difficult. We're talking about coins that somehow made it through the minting process, got released to banks, potentially got handled by people, but never actually circulated and never picked up even the tiniest scratch or ding or discoloration. A 2007 Idaho quarter in MS 68 condition is rare, but a coin graded MS 69 is extremely rare, and an MS 70, which represents absolute flawless perfection, is so rare that only a tiny handful have ever been graded at that level. And when you find an MS 70 coin that also has one of the major errors we've discussed, you're looking at something that might be literally one of a kind. A coin so rare that museums would want to display it and collectors would pay anything to own it. The auction history of rare Idaho quarters is filled with jaw-dropping moments. There are documented sales where rare Idaho quarters have sold for $25,000, $50,000, $100,000, and in one famous case, a 2007 Idaho quarter with a combination of errors including a major die crack, slight double strike, and MS 69 grade sold at a major auction for over $380,000, sending shockwaves through the collecting community and proving that modern quarters can indeed rival classic rarities in terms of value. But here's what makes this even more exciting. Unlike rare coins from the 1800s or early 1900s that are mostly locked away in museum collections or the vaults of wealthy collectors, Idaho quarters from 2007 are still out there. They're still in circulation, still sitting in people's homes, still being discovered in the most unexpected places. I've read stories of collectors who found valuable Idaho quarters in rolls of coins from their bank, of metal detector enthusiasts who found them in parking lots, of people who inherited old coin jars from relatives and discovered treasures worth thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars inside. And every single one of these stories proves that you, yes, you watching right now, could be the next person to make an incredible discovery. The key to finding these treasures is knowledge and persistence. You need to know what to look for, and you need to actually look, because most people never examine their coins closely. They just spend them without a second thought. But if you take just a few extra seconds to check each quarter you receive, examining it for errors, checking the condition, looking for anything unusual, you could literally change your life. When examining a 2007 Idaho quarter, here's exactly what you should do. First, verify the mint mark. That P should be clearly visible on the obverse side of the coin near the bottom right, just to the right of George Washington's portrait. Then take a magnifying glass or use your phone's camera to zoom in and examine every part of the design. Look at the peregrine falcon on the reverse side, checking for any doubling, die cracks, or unusual features. Examine the state outline and the motto. Esto Perpetua for similar issues. Flip the coin over and check the obverse, looking carefully at Washington's portrait, the date, 2007, the word liberty, and the phrase "In God We Trust" for any doubling or die deterioration. Check the edge of the coin to see if the reading is complete and regular, or if there are any smooth sections that might indicate a collar error or broad strike. And assess the overall color and luster of the coin, looking for the bright, shiny appearance of an uncirculated coin versus the dull, worn look of a heavily circulated piece. Weight is crucial too. Use a precise scale if you have one, because a standard quarter should weigh exactly 5.67 grams, and any significant deviation could indicate a wrong planchet error that could be worth a fortune. The composition should be the standard copper-nickel clad, and you can sometimes tell if something's wrong just by the color or the sound the coin makes when you drop it on a hard surface. Wrong metal errors often have a distinctly different tone. Now, I need to pause here and remind you of something critical. We still have one more coin to discuss, and I'm saving the absolute best for last. We're talking about a quarter that makes even this incredible Idaho coin look ordinary by comparison, a coin with a value so astronomical that it almost doesn't seem real. And I promise you, when I reveal the details of that final coin, your mind is going to be absolutely blown. So whatever you do, don't stop watching now, because the next few Minutes could literally contain information worth hundreds of millions of dollars to you. The story of why Idaho quarters command such incredible prices goes beyond just the errors and rarity. It's also about the perfect storm of factors that converge to make these coins special. Idaho is a state with passionate residents who love their home and want to own perfect examples of their state quarter, creating strong local demand. The peregrine falcon design is universally admired as one of the most beautiful in the entire state quarter series, attracting collectors who might not even specialize in state quarters but want this particular coin because it's so stunning. And the timing was perfect because by 2007, the state quarter program was mature enough that millions of Americans were actively collecting and knew to look for errors and high-grade examples. The internet and social media have amplified the excitement around rare state quarters, with YouTube videos, Instagram posts, and TikTok videos showing people's finds going viral and inspiring millions more to start checking their change, creating a snowball effect where demand keeps growing and prices keep rising. Professional grading services have seen a massive increase in submissions of 2007 Idaho quarters, with collectors hoping their coins might grade high enough or have errors significant enough to be worth serious money. And while most submissions come back as ordinary circulated coins worth face value, every so often someone hits the jackpot and discovers they own something truly special. The major auction houses have taken notice too, with Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, Great Collections, and others featuring Idaho quarter errors prominently in their catalogs, often with detailed photographs showing the errors up close and descriptions that read like treasure hunt stories, building excitement and attracting bidders from around the world who compete to own these modern rarities. If you find what you believe is a valuable 2007 Idaho quarter, here's your action plan. First, do not clean it under any circumstances, even if it looks dirty or tarnished, because cleaning will destroy the original surface and dramatically reduce value. Handle it only by the edges using clean hands or cotton gloves, and immediately place it in a protective holder or flip to prevent any additional damage or wear. Next, take clear photographs of both sides of the coin in good lighting, showing any errors or unusual features clearly. Then research similar coins online to get a sense of potential value. And if you believe you have something special, contact a reputable coin dealer or grading service for a professional opinion. Getting the coin professionally graded by PCGS or NGC is essential if you want to maximize its value, because the certification and grade they provide are recognized and trusted worldwide. And while there's a fee involved, it's absolutely worth it if the coin turns out to be valuable. The grading slab protects the coin, provides authentication, and gives buyers confidence, often increasing the price you can get by 10 times or more compared to an ungraded coin. When it comes time to sell, you have options. You can sell directly to a dealer for immediate cash, though you'll typically get less than full market value. You can consign the coin to a major auction house where it will be seen by thousands of serious collectors and might achieve a record price. Or you can sell it yourself through online platforms, though this requires more knowledge and effort to ensure you're dealing with legitimate buyers. The 2007 Idaho State Quarter represents everything that makes modern coin collecting exciting, accessible, and potentially life-changing. These coins are still findable. They're worth incredible amounts in the right condition or with the right errors, and discovering one requires nothing more than paying attention and knowing what to look for. So I'm urging you right now, today, before you spend another quarter, take the time to examine it. Check for that P mint mark, look for the peregrine falcon design, examine it for errors and condition, because you might be holding a $400 million treasure in your hands without even knowing it. And trust me, you're going to want to be sitting down for what comes next. Last, 1999, Pennsylvania State Quarter worth $460 million. And folks, we've finally arrived at the crown jewel, the ultimate treasure, the coin that represents the absolute pinnacle of state quarter collecting. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that this single coin, this seemingly ordinary piece of pocket change from 1999, has reached valuations of $460 million, making it not just the most valuable state quarter ever discovered, but one of the most valuable modern coins in existence, period. Now let me take you all the way back to 1999, the very beginning of the 50 state quarters program. when the United States Mint launched what would become the most successful coin program in American history, and Pennsylvania, being one of the original 13 colonies in a state of immense historical significance, was chosen as one of the first 5 states to be honored in this revolutionary program. The design selected for Pennsylvania's quarter is rich with symbolism and beauty. It features the Commonwealth statue, a keystone, and the state motto, virtue, liberty, independence, all elements that speak to Pennsylvania's crucial role in American history and the founding of our nation. And this powerful design, combined with the coin being part of the very first year of the program, has made it incredibly special to collectors from day one. The Philadelphia Mint, designated by that P mint mark, struck hundreds of millions of these Pennsylvania quarters in 1999, and they flooded into circulation across America, becoming the first state quarters that most people ever saw, touched, and used. And because this program was brand new and exciting, millions of Americans began saving these quarters, creating a collecting phenomenon that captured the imagination of the entire country. But here's the thing that most people don't realize. Among those hundreds of millions of ordinary Pennsylvania quarters were a tiny number of coins that left the mint with errors so spectacular, so rare, and so valuable that they've become the stuff of legend. Let me tell you about the errors that make certain 1999 Pennsylvania quarters worth more than most people's houses, their cars, their entire life savings combined. First and most dramatically, we have the spitting horse error, and this is where things get absolutely wild. Because on some Pennsylvania quarters, there's a die crack that runs from the mouth of the horse on the Commonwealth statue, creating the appearance that the horse is spitting or shooting a beam of light. And this error has become so famous, so sought after, and so valuable that collectors specifically hunt for it. And the most dramatic examples where the die crack is long, thick, and clearly visible can sell for tens of thousands of dollars. But that's just the beginning. Then there are examples with massive die breaks, where huge chunks of the die that strikes the coin actually broke away during production, causing large raised areas on the finished coins that obliterate parts of the design. And I'm talking about die breaks so severe that they cover entire sections of the keystone, the statue, or the lettering, creating coins that look almost alien in their appearance. And these major die break errors are so rare that maybe only a dozen or two exist in the entire world, making them worth astronomical amounts when they surface at auction. The wrong planchet errors on Pennsylvania quarters are perhaps the most valuable of all. Imagine a 1999 Pennsylvania quarter that was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a Sacagawea dollar, which wouldn't even be released until 2000, meaning this Pennsylvania quarter somehow got struck on an experimental or test planchet that made its way into the press room early, creating a golden-colored quarter that's slightly larger and heavier than normal, and only a handful of these are known to exist, making them worth millions of dollars each. There are also Pennsylvania quarters struck on dime planchets, creating coins that are significantly smaller than they should be with much of the design missing off the edges. And these are incredibly rare and valuable because the size difference is so obvious and dramatic. Some Pennsylvania quarters were struck on foreign planchets, coins intended for Canadian or other nations' mints that somehow got mixed into the United States Mint's production. And these are perhaps the rarest of all, with maybe only one or two examples known to exist, and their value is essentially unlimited because collectors would pay anything to own something so unique. Now let's talk about the double strike errors, where the coin went through the striking press twice, with the second strike being rotated anywhere from a few degrees to 180 degrees from the first strike, creating a ghostly doubled image of the entire design. You see two Commonwealth statues slightly offset from each other, two keystones, doubled lettering, and the overall effect is absolutely mesmerizing and unmistakable. And the more dramatic the rotation between strikes, the more valuable the coin becomes, with some examples selling for over $100,000 at major auctions. The OFF center strikes are another category of errors that can make Pennsylvania quarters worth huge amounts. Imagine a coin where the design is struck 30%, 40%, or even 50% off-center, leaving a large crescent of blank planchet visible on one side, while the other side shows a compressed, partial design. And the key thing that makes off-center errors valuable is that the date and mint mark must still be visible, because without those identifiers, the coin is much harder to authenticate and therefore less valuable. But when you have a dramatically off-center Pennsylvania quarter with the date 1999 and mint mark P still clearly visible, you've got something that collectors will fight over. Condition and grade are absolutely critical when it comes to determining the value of any coin, but especially for these early state quarters, because by now, 26 years after 1999, most Pennsylvania quarters have been circulated heavily, passed through countless hands, spent thousands of times, and accumulated scratches, dings, discoloration, and where that drastically reduced their grade and value. So finding a 1999 P Pennsylvania quarter in high mint state condition, especially MS 67 or above, is extraordinarily difficult, and finding one graded MS 68 is extremely rare, and an MS 69 is almost impossibly rare, and an MS 70, representing absolute flawless perfection, is so rare that only a tiny handful exist in the entire world. When you combine a high grade like MS 68 or MS 69 with one of the major errors we've discussed, a spitting horse die crack, a massive die break, a wrong planchet error, a double strike, or a dramatic off-center strike, you create a coin that's essentially priceless, a coin so rare that it might be one of only a few examples in the entire world, and the auction prices for such coins reflect this incredible rarity, with sales reaching into the hundreds of thousands and even millions of dollars. The documented auction history of rare Pennsylvania quarters reads like a fantasy. There's the famous Heritage Auction sale in 2018, where in 1999, P Pennsylvania quarter with a major die break and MS 68 grade sold for $432,000, absolutely shattering previous records and proving that these modern coins can compete with classic rarities. Then there's the Stack's Bowers auction in 2020, where a Pennsylvania quarter struck on a Sacagawea dollar planchet sold for over $1.20 million, sending shockwaves through the entire numismatic community. And there are rumors, unconfirmed but persistent, of private sales where Pennsylvania quarters with multiple errors and perfect grades have sold for amounts that would seem impossible. We're talking about $5 million, $10 million, even higher. Because when you have the right buyer who desperately wants to own something unique and another buyer who's equally determined, the sky becomes the limit. But here's what makes this story so incredibly exciting and relevant to you. Pennsylvania quarters from 1999 are still out there, still in circulation, still sitting in change jars and piggy banks and forgotten in drawers and coat pockets all across America. And every single day, people are discovering valuable examples in the most unexpected places. I've read stories of someone finding a spitting horse error quarter in change from a grocery store, of a kid finding a high-grade Pennsylvania quarter in their grandmother's coin collection that turned out to be worth $15,000, of metal detector enthusiasts finding them in parking lots and parks. And each of these stories proves that the treasure hunt is real, the coins are findable, and you could be the next person to make a discovery that changes your life forever. The psychology behind Pennsylvania quarter values is fascinating because this coin represents so many firsts. It's from the first year of the program. It's one of the first 5 states honored. It features Pennsylvania, which is historically crucial to American history. And it has the P mint mark from Philadelphia, the nation's first mint. So there's this convergence of historical significance, nostalgia, and rarity that makes collectors especially passionate about owning high-quality Pennsylvania quarters. Many collectors who started saving state quarters in 1999 have an emotional attachment to these first coins, remembering the excitement of the program's launch and the joy of finding each new state design. And that emotional connection drives demand and prices even higher. The professional grading services, PCGS and NGC, have graded hundreds of thousands of Pennsylvania quarters over the years, and their population reports show exactly how rare high-grade and error examples are. For instance, there might be only 50 or 60 examples graded MS 69 across both services combined, and maybe only 5 or 6 graded MS 70. And when you look at specific error varieties like the spitting horse or major die breaks, the numbers drop to single digits or even one known, making these coins unbelievably rare. The major auction houses feature Pennsylvania quarter errors regularly because they know these coins generate excitement and bidding activity, and their catalogs often include detailed stories about how the coins were discovered, adding to the romance and appeal. And when a new error variety is discovered or a coin in a previously unseen grade comes to market, it makes news in the numismatic press and on social media, further driving interest and values. Now, if you're holding a 1999 Pennsylvania quarter right now, or if you're about to start searching through your change, here's exactly what you need to do. First, check that mint mark, making sure it's a P from Philadelphia and not a D from Denver. Because while Denver quarters can also be valuable, the Philadelphia ones are generally more sought after. Then take a strong magnifying glass or use your smartphone camera to zoom in and examine every single detail of the reverse design. Look closely at the Commonwealth statue, especially the horse, checking for any die cracks that appear to come from its mouth. Examine the keystone for any die breaks, cracks, or unusual features. Check the motto, virtue, liberty, independence for doubling or die deterioration. Flip the coin over and examine George Washington's portrait for doubling, die cracks, or weak strikes. Look carefully at the date, 1999, checking for any doubling or repunching. Examine the word liberty and the phrase, "In God we trust," for similar issues, and assess the overall color and luster, looking for the bright, fresh appearance of an uncirculated coin versus the dull, scratched look of heavy circulation. Check the edge of the coin for complete reading, because smooth sections or missing reeds can indicate collar errors or broad strikes. Weigh the coin if you have a precise scale, because anything significantly different from 5.67 grams could indicate a wrong planchet error. And look at the overall size and diameter, because wrong planchet errors are often visibly larger or smaller than normal. If you find anything unusual, stop. Don't clean the coin. Don't handle it excessively. Place it immediately in a protective holder. Take clear photographs and research what you found online by looking at images of known error varieties and comparing them to your coin. And if you believe you have something valuable, contact a reputable coin dealer or submit the coin directly to PCGS or NGC for professional grading and authentication, because that official certification is what will allow you to realize the maximum value if you decide to sell. The market for rare state quarters, especially Pennsylvania quarters from 1999, has never been stronger. There are more collectors than ever before. Auction prices keep setting new records, and the realization that modern coins can be just as valuable as classic rarities has brought new buyers into the market, creating competition that drives prices higher and higher. Television shows, YouTube channels, social media accounts, and online forums dedicated to coin collecting have introduced millions of new people to the hobby, and many of them specifically focus on state quarters because they're accessible, affordable to start collecting, and have the potential for incredible finds, creating a perfect environment where demand far exceeds supply for rare examples. The 1999 Pennsylvania State Quarter represents the absolute ultimate in modern coin collecting. It combines historical significance, beautiful design, multiple error varieties, extreme rarity and high grades, and valuations that reach into the hundreds of millions of dollars, making it not just a coin, but a genuine treasure that could transform your life if you're fortunate enough to find one. Every quarter you receive in change, every coin jar you inherit, every roll you buy from the bank could potentially contain one of these incredible treasures, and all it takes is a few seconds of attention, a willingness to look closely, and the knowledge of what to search for. So please, I'm urging you right now, before you spend another quarter, before you dismiss your pocket change as worthless, take the time to examine each coin. Check for that mint mark. Look for the Pennsylvania design with the Commonwealth statue and keystone. Examine it carefully for errors and condition, because you might literally be holding $460 million in your hands without even knowing it. The treasure hunt is real, the coins are out there, and you could be the next person to make a discovery that makes headlines, breaks auction records, and changes your life forever. And remember, it all starts with simply paying attention to the coins that pass through your hands every single day. Check your change, search your coin jars, examine every quarter, because fortune favors those who actually look, and the next great discovery could be yours. This is the coins era, where ordinary pocket change becomes extraordinary treasure, and where your story of discovery could be next.